Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your October Tarot Horoscope. After a year of doing these, I finally realized that I can just shuffle the cards and get a card before I hit play. So you don't have to sit there and watch me shuffle for minutes at a time until something happens. So I already have a card for you. The first 2/3 of October is Libra season. And then at the end of the month, we'll be in Scorpio season. So happy birthday to those of you who are having your birthday in October. And your card for the month, Scorpio, is we have the Six of Swords. So this is the way the card looks. We have this boat and we have this figure kind of pulling their way along in the boat. A bunch of butterflies kind of in front of it. This big watery scene here. I've got these big swords here, almost like some storm clouds, maybe a distant land there. So lots of blues, a kind of ocean water feeling with the Six of Swords. So I'm going to see what we have for that this month. Okay, Six of Swords, transposition. At a superficial level, the scene from Eugene Delacroix's 1822 painting Dante and Virgil in Hell represents movement, translocation, or any other external change. However, it also points to the faculties of the mind that enable different worlds to become interlinked. It challenges you to be mentally alert and always up to date. Ferrying someone from one shore to the other can be likened to translating words from one language into another. Different people and their respective truths are like two shores or two different worlds which need to be connected. The archetype of the ferryman represents the controlling power and transformational abilities of the human mind. In many traditional stories, such as the devil with the 3 golden hairs, the ferryman is condemned for all eternity to ferry back and forth. In his novel Siddhartha, Hermann Hesse created such an inspiring version of the ferryman that this archetype has become a symbol of the dignity of human consciousness as a bridge between two realms. Whether or not we can cope with our current situation depends to a great extent on our mental clarity and openness. Useless thoughts are like old baggage carried along to each new destination. Useful thoughts, on the other hand, plumb the depths of any issue, just as the ferryman can only advance if his pole makes contact with the bottom of the river. Practical advice. Be thorough in all your dealings. Use your mental agility and the intensity of the moment to find out which needs really motivate you and others. Communicate to them your needs. Okay, so this card is this interesting, this travel from one state to the other, but this idea of this interconnection, this link between two worlds where it's not just sometimes we can think of travel. I was one place, I moved to another place, I am no longer in that place, where it kind of feels linear in one direction. But when we look at this as a ferry boat or something that travels back and forth, where these two places are always connected, where we've been and where we're going isn't just a one directional motion, it's actually, it can go back and forth. And so this idea of connecting, the communication, two different people's ideas are just two different lands trying to ferry messages back and forth, where we are different beings, but we're trying to really understand each other and see if we can travel from my mind into your mind, from my beliefs into yours, from my way of seeing things into your way of seeing things, and then achieve this kind of unity or connection. Whereas if we just sort of stay on our own plots and kind of yell at each other, we're never really going to know what the life is like on the other shore. So there's this idea of this bridge, this communication bridge. And swords, this is a sword suit. So swords is the suit that is connected to the mind and communicating and thought. So this really, this language and thinking as this bridge between two worlds, or this bridge between two people, really does fit nicely with the beginning of October, which is Libra season. And Libra season is an air sign as well. So it is about communication. Specifically, it's about initiating conversation. It's a cardinal sign, so it's about starting something new. And Libra season is very much interested in relationships, partnerships. So a lot of Libra season is initiating conversations to do with partnerships or relationships. Doesn't have to just be romantic or sexual. It can be business partnerships. It can be kind of living roommate partnerships, like wherever there's an agreement between two people to get their needs met, where they are meeting as equal beings, trying to navigate their needs and desires together, is really what a partnership is. So this idea of these two different lands trying to interconnect and trying to use consciousness, human consciousness, mentality, cognition, language to try to connect their experiences so that they can work together, really is, highlighting language as a bridge, the communication aspect of Libra season, in order to understand the other party and to be able to, not just stay trapped in your own land and never growing beyond your own viewpoint, but being able to see somebody else's viewpoint and then better be able to have your union or have your project or whatever it is that your partnership is based on. So this is, there's this idea of openness, of being able to cope better by having a little bit more openness, mental clarity, the ability to see things from other sides, having a little bit of that flexibility. So that's probably a really great invitation for you, Scorpio. Certainly an archetype of Scorpio is being quite... it's a fixed sign, it's a fixed water sign, so there's a lot of emotion and it can be very invested in your emotional experience and maybe is prioritized about understanding the experience of somebody else because you're so richly invested in your own emotional experience. So this is really kind of inviting that bridge of really working on that open clarity, openness of thought, trying to see what is their perspective, what is it from their end, and then it's not about abandoning your needs or your emotional experiences in order to, raise up somebody else. That's not Libra season. Libra season is all about this co-understanding and being equal peers. So there's this understanding that you trying to connect mentally and understand and be open to somebody else's needs helps them be met. And they're doing the same thing back to you. So your rich emotional experience maybe sometimes feel isolating or may feel like people don't understand you, but they're also, if they are reaching that bridge towards you and you are helping to be understood, then that's kind of that helps with the loneliness of what can otherwise be that kind of isolating human experience. But connecting that bridge with somebody else helps you feel seen and helps your emotional experience not just be a lonely thing. So that's kind of this value of the Libra connecting bridge. And then we have this idea, I love this image here, that the useful thoughts, on the other hand, plumb the depths of any issue, just as the ferryman can only advance if his pole makes contact with the bottom of the river. That line feels very much like Scorpio season, because Scorpio season is all about the getting into the dark of what's down deep under. So Scorpio season as a water sign is the deep, deep, dark ocean, like that bottom of the river where all the gunk is, where all the fascinating nutrients are, where it's kind of scary, can't really see down there, it's kind of murky, but that's where, in this case, that contact, that's where the foundation is. That's where the foundation to pull across, the foundation to really understand and get across to somebody is through the real, honest, raw, dark, murky bottom of that ocean, where we so often throw things that we're like, I want to look at it, or somebody else judged it, or I'm scared because I really value it and I don't want it to get hurt, or I'm really afraid that it's not going to be received very well, and so we just throw things and repress things and throw them to the bottom of the ocean. But that is where the richness is. So this invitation with the Scorpio season part of October is to not to really lean on what is deep and true and rich in your emotional experience, and have the courage to bring it up to be seen by another being, so that you can have that real, proper, honest connection, bridge across those worlds, and not just be a superficial one where you're just kind of paddling the surface with what you feel safe and comfortable to share, that kind of makes you one-dimensional. It's all that deep stuff that is the core of what makes somebody unique, but also is vulnerable. What that which makes us unique, that which is really true to our core, is that which really matters to us. So that which is really scary if it gets seen or hurt or abused or not appreciated in some way. So Scorpio season has that risk. You do have to be willing to see what's there, which might shock you, might be uncomfortable for you, might be uncomfortable for other people, and to have that be seen and be vulnerable. But that risk is where you actually have that true understanding of the true person meeting the other true person, and not just the mask of the person kind of flirting with the mask of the person over here. There's just so much more richness of depth that's possible there. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening here. So that, whatever that might look like for you, really leaning into the courage of bringing up that Scorpio energy in order to better facilitate that Libra bridge between people. So that's what's happening for you this month. There's a lot of retrograde energy in Libra season. So certainly the beginning 2/3 of October, there's a lot of transits happening, and a lot of that retrograde energy is going to make it feel very like murky or stuck or difficult to move forward for a while, or really confusing, or communication can feel like, especially with the Mercury retrograde, like easy to be fighting. So I would highly suggest you take the Libra season workshop. It's on my YouTube channel. That's going to just give you a little bit more information on the retrograde so that you'll be better prepared. This month I'm doing something a little different. It's not a pay what you can workshop to me, unlike the other season forecasts. In the interest of Libra season energy of justice and balance, and with a nod to September 30th, Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada, all of the donations to the Libra Season Workshop are going to the Native Women's Association of Canada, an organization here in Canada that is kind of working in this truth and reconciliation and really bringing facilities to Native women here in Canada. So that is what I would love for you to take, that Libra Season Workshop. Donate generously to that association, and then you'll also be able to get some good information for yourself. So that's what's coming up for you, Scorpio, this October. Best of luck, and I'll see you next month.